Hello again, and thank you for joining me. I thought it was about time I did an update on the progress I've been making with the 10mm Franco-Prussian War project. It's been a little while since I posted a video, and things have been moving along steadily, and I've got some new units completed now. So I thought I'd show you what they look like, and then there are one or two other things that have come up related to this project that I thought I'd share. So I'm going to turn the camera around and show you the painting I've managed to do. Here is 22 Corps. So it's made up of 2 divisions, and each division is made up of 2 brigades. So this is De Roger's division, the 2 brigades behind it, and each brigade has 2 regiments of 3 battalions, so 6 battalions plus an attached chasseur battalion. It's all but complete now. There are 2 omissions, as you can see. This should have been a chasseur battalion, but I miscalculated the number of figures I had, and I haven't got enough to complete that without putting in a new order. And this is Du Bessel, who was the commander of the 2nd Division. And I've got a bit of a different problem there. I've used Pendraken figures for this project, and I'm very pleased with them. But they don't really have a lot of variety in the poses for the French commanders. And I find that a little regimented. You can see all the brigadiers there. These are the brigadiers. I'm using the same mounted officer pose, and to my eye that looks a bit odd. And I haven't really worked out what I'm going to do about that yet. Divisional commanders have 2 figures to a base. The corps commander, which is also missing actually, would have 3 figures, and the army commander, when I get round to it, would have 4 figures. So I've got a fair number of French general officers I need to add, and a very limited number of officer poses. I've looked at Manchester Militum, and they seem to have a range of 10mm Franco-Prussian war figures with some French officers, but I must admit I've not seen any pictures of those on the internet, so I don't really have any way to judge how they sit alongside Pendraken. A bit of a poser. Anyway, the next stage in the project will be to do some more Prussians, build up the Prussian side of the force, before I move on to 23 Corps, which is the one that has some Marines in it, but it also has a fair number of Garde Nationale. So when that's done, the project, as it's envisaged at the moment, will be finished. But I know from bitter experience that saying a project is finished is a dreadful, dreadful hostage to fortune, and no doubt I will add to it. Obviously, if I go on and do the Battle of St. Quentin, there's a whole extra corps I need. But hey-ho, we'll see how it goes. I'll take the camera down and show you a bit closer. So I'm just going to move the camera now. Here we are looking at Du Bessel's division. The figures are very nice. You'll notice that the units with the red tops to the kepis, which are the regiments de marche, the provisional regiments, raised from the scattered units of the professional army after the disasters of the summer, they don't have standards. But the guys behind, with the blue tops to the kepis, those are Garde Mobile, and they are issued with standard. Well, they've kind of made their own, really. I've put a tricolour on each of those to give it a flag that is recognisable. When I did the Garde Nationale, eclectic in their standards. So I'll do something a little less regimented for those. Right, I'm just going to move across. And this is de Roger's division. It's a mirror image of the Dubesols. I've made good progress with the figures, and so I started to think about the terrain that I will be using. And there are a number of substantial woods in the battle that I'm trying to recreate. But of course, being January, the deciduous trees have lost their leaves. So I've been looking at ways of representing this. And this is the first attempt, my Mark 1. I used armatures here and then just didn't put the foliage on. But I'm not really happy with these. They just don't do it. The armatures in themselves are very flat, so I did try to give them sort of three-dimensional by chopping a few branches off and moving them around. But it just doesn't work really for me. And size became an issue. In the height of these trees for a 6mm figure would represent something like 60 foot, which for an oak tree is quite a small one. A mature oak tree can grow to 100 feet. Beeches, so similar sort of size. But they don't really work. So I'm going to start a sort of Mark II, and I've ordered some bits and pieces. They haven't arrived yet, and see if they look better from my perspective. Bit disappointing, but we're going to get there. I'm planning on using 6mm buildings for this project. You've always got this tension between ground scale and vertical scale. But I think using 10mm figures with 6mm buildings will work. And there are a fair number of 6mm building manufacturers out there, and even some paper ones you can download from the internet. You've got to be a bit careful though, because one manufacturer's 6mm building is not the same as another's. And this is just an example here. This is a church. And I quite like the proportions of this, but I ordered this other church, which is also supposed to be 6mm. And it's much, much bigger. Looks completely out of scale, and I wouldn't use them together. So I suppose I'm looking for the smaller 6mm manufacturers. So yeah, that was a bit disappointing. Another curiosity is that for the Franco-Prussian War, for the first time in a European war, railways turn up. And to get the table looking right, you need to have tracks for some of these battles. And northern France is one of the areas that the railway was beginning to get well established. So when I do the Battle of Bapaume, there is a railway that goes part way across the battlefield. So I'm going to have to add some of those to my terrain. And the final thing, I ordered this book and it arrived yesterday. I've had a quick flick through it. It's got lots and lots of black and white pictures, contemporary to the period. It's got some good colour maps, and and I'm really looking forward to reading this one. It's unusual. I usually do things the other way around. I usually find a book about a campaign I'm interested in, read that, and then build the army from that. In this instance, I'd already started building the army when I saw that this one was available. My library is a little light on the Franco-Prussian War. Apart from this, the only book I've got is the one from Moltke on the Franco-Prussian War. And it's good, it covers all the areas I'm looking for. It's got no maps, and it's obviously quite brief because it's a summary, if you like, of the work that was done by the German General Staff, and condensed down into a single volume. But this, I'm hoping, I've not had anything from Quentin Barry before, but I'm hoping this will give a bit more meat on the campaign. So I'm really looking forward to reading this. So that's the project so far. It's moving along steadily. I'll have to place a new order with Pendraken for the Prussian figures and the final chasseurs that I need for the 22nd Corps. And then I shall get on with painting those. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope this has been interesting, and I'll catch you next time.